If you're after additional protection and functionality combined with a classic good look for your 2017 to 2022 F-250 or F-350 Super Duty, then the Ranch Hand Legend Series front bumper will be just what you're after. This is a big statement piece for the front end of your truck that not only looks great, but makes sure that your truck can work harder as well, and it's also not going to sacrifice any factory functionality. This one goes beyond just a new bumper or even a grille guard and gives you the best of both worlds in a heavy-duty package that's going to work hard and make a big statement. Unlike a lot of other bumpers or even grille guards, this setup takes the best of both worlds and combines them into one, frankly, gigantic statement piece for the front end of your truck. Calling it the Legend is not really all that tongue-in-cheek either, as this is kind of the quintessential grille guard and bumper combination. It combines a traditional type of grille guard with the mesh covering for the factory grille right here in the center, and crossbars in front of that for a lot of added protection. Plus, you've got these big central uprights and headlight covers too, so pretty much everything up top is protected. But underneath all that is a big old diamond plate style bumper that's going to essentially take the place of your factory bumper. This thing is massive and it covers the entirety of the lower front end of your truck. So it's safe to say this is going to give it a lot of additional front end protection to go along with the aggressive good looks. It cuts up a lot more sharply on the sides as well, so it's going to give you a bit more ground clearance and a better approach angle in case you do take your Super Duty off the beaten path. The bumper section also has an integrated 2-inch receiver right here in the front, so in case you need to mount something up front or pull anything from the front end of the truck, you've got the capability to do so. So not only does it look good, but it has the chops to back it up. However, there's a bit more here than meets the eye. This also has provisions for you to keep your front parking sensors and your factory fog lights if your truck came so equipped. And most importantly, your forward-facing camera. This cutout right here in the center is going to leave plenty of space for the camera to work, so it's not going to interfere with its functioning at all, and you can use it exactly the way that Ford intended. It's a really slick setup that makes for a much more functional and aggressive looking front end, and even though some of these aftermarket bumpers can look like they don't belong in your truck, I think this one actually integrates very well, and personally it puts me in mind of some kind of old service truck that you'd see at a fire department or something in the Forest Service. The whole thing is made of a combination of tubular and plate steel, and it's all welded together as one large piece. So this is exactly how it came out of the box. That means there's a ton of strength inherently built in. So if you're out on the trail busting through branches and such, you can be certain that this is going to take the beating and take it well. The tubular sections are 4-inch Schedule 40 pipe, while the bumper itself is made from thick diamond plate steel. All that material is then finished off with this glossy black powder coat that you see. That's going to help protect everything against rust and corrosion, in addition to just making it look good on the front end of your truck. And to get everything cinched up and solid, Ranch Hand sets it up to bolt directly to the frame of your truck in multiple different locations. So it's going to mount very solidly and be able to handle any type of abuse you might be able to throw its way. Pricing comes in at about $2,200, and that makes it a bit more of an expensive option as compared to some other bumper or grille guards. But as far as setups like this that include both the bumper and the grille guard, this is a good value, and it's actually going to undercut some of the other options out there for just front bumpers alone. So while it might be a bit of coin to set aside, if you like the style and functionality, this is actually a pretty solid bargain for you. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and you should plan on this job taking you around 2 hours to complete. Now this is a totally bolt-on install, so you don't need to do any modifications to your truck. However, this is obviously a large piece and weighs every bit of 300 pounds, so definitely plan on asking for a hand or two to help you get this mounted up. It will be so much safer and easier that way, and you'll get the job done a lot quicker. That said, let's head on out to the shop, and we're going to walk you through the installation process step by step.
For this install, you will need an impact, a 3/8 inch adapter if necessary, a small extension, 15, 18, and 19 millimeter sockets, a 19 millimeter wrench. Also not shown here is an extra set of hands in either a floor jack and jack stands or a table jack. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a front bumper on our F-250, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory bumper, and we'll see you when you get back.
Alright guys, now right before we get into the installation here, just a couple things I want to reiterate. Make sure you have the proper equipment to adequately support this bumper as we start undoing the bolts that support it. These bolts here and here on either side of both tow hooks are actually bolts. They might look like nuts, but they're actually bolts. So once those are removed, there is nothing supporting this bumper to the frame. It's not resting on top of like a lip or a shelf or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you have also the help of at least one other person who can maybe hold this bumper as you're undoing these bolts. They will be partially supported by the tow hooks here because the tow hooks are attached directly to your frame rails, but I wouldn't rely on that solely to hold the bumper up because it might also want to come forward as well. So make sure you have some help and maybe a floor jack or some jack stands or some sturdy wood boxes or something like that that you can stack up underneath this to support this, just as a safety note. So let's go ahead, we're gonna start with the air dam. All right guys, first off, we're gonna start here on the passenger side. You have this bolt up top here, and all the other ones are on the underside until we get to the other end where there's another one on top just like this one, and they should all be 8mm. All right guys, now we're switching to the underside here. You might want to use a swivel socket if you're using a electric tool like I am. It's a little tight on the edge here because of the curve of the air dam. Now I'm going to leave this one in a couple of threads just to support the air dam so it's not flopping down on me as we're undoing the rest of these. And again, I'm going to leave that one a couple threads on as well. All right guys, I'm just going to do these last bolts here that I have finger tight. All right guys, now on both ends of the bumper, we're gonna take out these two bolts that attach this bracket. It's kind of a support bracket for the end of your bumper to the frame of your truck. And you're gonna need a 15mm socket to get these out. And I'm also using a swivel because of the bracket up here. I'm going to do the same thing over on the passenger side. All right guys, now you wouldn't necessarily need to take the air dam off if you have multiple helpers who could hold the bumper while you remove the bolts, but we're showing it to you. The manufacturer recommends taking the air dam off your bumper to prevent any damage to it. It's plastic, it's susceptible to being cracked or otherwise broken as you're working with it here. And I have a floor jack with a wood block supporting the center of the bumper here as I'm kind of demonstrating this to you by myself. And so we're going to go after these bolts here. You might have plastic cover pieces covering the bolt heads. Our truck does not, so I can't show you how to remove those, but they should just pop right out. So you're going to need an 18mm socket to get these bolts out. And with the last one on this side, I'm going to be careful to bring this one out slowly and just to see what my bumper wants to do, just to be safe. And I re-threaded a bolt back down in the bottom there because there's a nut plate behind here that is just spinning as I work the top bolt. So if You thread that bolt back in there. That'll keep it from spinning and back. Now we're going to loosen the top one a little bit more. All right, now we have our bumper adequately supported. We're gonna move to the other side. All right, guys, now I have a friend here who's just kind of studying the other side of the bumper here. We're gonna remove these bolts. I recommend taking the top one out. Like I said before, that'll prevent it from spinning around the nut plate on the backside. Now with those bolts removed, you should be able to just lift the bumper away. All right, guys, next up, we're going to remove the tow hook here as well as the frame extension down below here. 4 bolts and then 2 nuts and 2 nuts on a bolt plate on each side for these. And it's an 18mm socket you're going to need for all of it.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we have our factory setup off, it's time to get ready to install our new one. So what we're going to do first is install our new provided brackets. These are going to go on the top of our frame horns, just like so. You want to line up the bolt holes up top as well as on the sides. For the sides, we're going to reuse that factory double bolt plate on each side, so we'll get those in place and get our factory nuts back on. Then we'll get our 4 provided bolts in through the top, and we'll come back and tighten everything down. We'll get our first bolt plate in, our factory nuts in place. You can do the same thing for your inner one. Now we're going to install our provided 19mm bolts and flat washers. We'll put those through the top like so. And on the bottom side of these, we're going to add in our other flat washers and our provided lock nuts. Now we're going to begin tightening these down. So we're going to grab a 19mm wrench and a 19mm socket on our impact and tighten these up. Now we'll tighten down our factory bolt plates, so we're going to grab our 18mm socket and tighten those down. We'll tighten these two down. And you can do the same thing for your inner plate. And once you have this bracket installed, you can repeat the same process for the other side. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is this kit does come with provisions for mounting your factory fog lights if you have them, as well as your adaptive cruise control module. Again, if you have that, we have neither, so we're not going to be using that, but your kit does come with everything you need to install those. Alrighty guys, so now we're ready to install our bumper. As you can see, we've got our table jack. If you don't have a table jack at home, definitely use a floor jack or some jack stands. This thing is very heavy. You definitely don't want to get under it unsupported. I've got an extra set of hands. I'm going to get this level and push it in. He's going to get his 4 19mm bolts with flat washers and lock nuts in place. Then we'll come around and get my side in. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, we have our bolts in through the front towards the back. We've got our flat washers and lock nuts on. So now we're going to grab our 19mm socket on our impact and a 19mm wrench. We're going to tighten these down. And once you got your first two tight, you can do the same thing for the rest of your mounting bolts. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Ranch Hand Legend Series front bumper for forward facing camera for your 17 to 22 F-250 and F-350 Super Duty. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-250, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.